isn't it hard to pick a few best openings from a show filled with them? In any case, we have picked a few for you to enjoy. Now, if you haven't watched the series completely, beware that there may be spoilers ahead. Number 11, Unsolvable, Season 1, Episode 21. Captain Holt walks into the precinct wearing a wrist splint. Seeing this, Amy asks what happened. He refuses to explain, sparking the detective's curiosity about his injury, and walks into his office. Jake speculates that it must be something embarrassing, otherwise Holt would have shared the details. Noticing their gossip, Holt tells them he tripped on an uneven sidewalk and sprained his wrist to stop their chatter. Once the detectives are back at work, Holt tells Jake that he actually hurt his wrist while hula hooping in a fitness class and shows off some pics. Jake, surprised, asks why he told him. Holt explains that no one would believe such a story if Jake tried to tell others and then delete the pics, making Jake curse him. Number 10, Skyfire Circle, Season 4, Episode 8. The squad is forced to stay in the briefing room as they are still working the night shift, and a janitor is waxing the floor. Jake finds a fun opportunity in this and says that he is going to slide from Holt's office to the elevator door. Jake starts sliding, and when he's halfway through the bullpen, the elevator doors open to reveal Holt and Jake crashing into the elevator. When the elevator opens shortly, Holt and Jake walk out and they hold a big pause. Instead of being mad, Holt raises Jake's hands and acknowledges his achievement, making others cheer with support. Number 9, The Therapist, Season 4, Episode 11. While walking through the precinct with Terry, Jake notices huge water bottles. He then sees the chance to play bowling by connecting Charles, the bullpen, and those bottles. He then introduces Charles in his chair wearing a helmet and states that he calls this game Boyle Bullpen Bottle Bowling. He then pushes off the chair, which hits perfectly with the already piled up bottles. Due to the excitement, everyone shows their happiness while a Russian lady yells babushka, making everyone silent for an instant. Then, in a unified voice, the precinct yells babushka. Number 8, Halloween 2, Season 2, Episode 4. Charles enters the break room, joking about how nobody ever understands his costumes. Rosa points out that he enjoys dressing up despite being an adult. Charles laughs and announces that the team will choose his costume this year, causing them to groan. First, he appears dressed as a pumpkin. Jake jokes that it looks like Mrs. Pac-Man's nipple. Charles corrects him, saying it's brown, leaving Amy to wonder why he knows that. Next, Charles tries a Shakespearean costume, but it's also rejected. He then shows up as He-Man. Jake guesses he's Joan of Arc, Rod Stewart, or Martha Stewart, while Gina suggests gay Robin Hood. Number 7, Halloween 4, Season 4, Episode 5. So, it's Halloween in the precinct again, and everyone's hyped for round 4 of the heist. Amy tries to be all chill announcing it, but then Jake blasts in with air horns, almost giving Scully a heart attack. Amy confidently tells Jake that she is the current defending champion, but Jake argues she only won because no one knew she was even in the game. Just then, Captain Holt marches in with the whole marching band, totally stealing the show. He says he deserves to kick things off since he's the last legitimate champion. And then, to make things even crazier, Hitchcock rolls up with a megaphone, blaring sirens. Rosa thinks he's joining the announcement chaos, but nope, it turns out his ex-wife just died, and he's celebrating being free of alimony payments. Number 6, Stakeout, Season 2, Episode 11. Jake wakes up to Holt with Rosa beside him and asks Holt why he seems so happy. Holt replies that he is really happy to watch his enemy, Wunsch, congratulate him by draping a medal around his neck. When Rosa reminds them that they also took drugs off the street, Holt casually replies that's good too. He then states that he's been planning ways to burn Wunsch and that he came up with the perfect line. Later, when Wunsch actually places the medal on his neck and permits him to brag, he respectfully declines. When she walks away surprised, Holt yells, "Lunchtime is over," and happily says that he has no regrets saying it. Number 5. Terry Kitties, Season 3, Episode 19. The episode begins with a noisy precinct engaged in work, while Captain Holt walks in wearing a scarf and a jacket, greeting everyone in French. Jake says that he sure looks in a good mood. Holt replies with a positive answer, surprising Jake. He says that he had the perfect vacation with Kevin and that he was overjoyed. He even answers Gina's sarcastic question with permission. After he walks into his office, Jake tells everyone that Holt is in a vacation hangover and should be accepting any requests. While everyone debates over what they should get, they suddenly notice Scully and Hitchcock coming out of the captain's office. They understand that Holt's mood must have turned. Then suddenly, Holt walks into the bullpen and asks why nobody ain't working. Number 4. The Chopper, Season 2, Episode 22. Jake notices that Gina is completely engaged on her phone, and nothing seems to distract her. He then suddenly makes up a bet with the squad that the first to make her look up wins. Charles takes the first shot, and Gina throws a stapler at him. Amy tries to lie about George Bush passing away, to which Gina replies, "Who dat?" Next, Rosa tries an air horn. Finally, when everyone looks disappointed, Gina stands up in shock and calls out Terry. He explains that he changed his relationship status to complicated. While smiling about this, Sharon calls and asks him about this, and after failing to tell her over the phone, he says that he has to go home. Number 3. The Last Ride, Season 4, Episode 16. Captain Holt carefully and silently reads something, and he tells the staff that the precinct is going to be shut down. Jake raises doubts that the hearing was supposed to happen tonight and says that Amy's friend at HQ told her that 7-4 was going down instead, to which Gina sarcastically denies and tells that Amy doesn't have a friend. Amy defends herself to Gina and finally realizes that the friend is just a colleague. Then Holt said that this information was, in fact, correct, stating that the 7-4 had an advantage over them due to the fact that they had an elite gang task force. Hearing this, Jake accuses Holt of denying the opportunity to start his own task force. Holt asks him what the purpose of that task force would have been. Jake answers that it was to strike and all. Now, Terry expresses his feelings that it could be their last time at the precinct and angrily asks Hitchcock to close his legs. This is when he stands up and motivates the staff, finally asking Holt to give them the biggest case at hand, to which Holt replies that a 10-year-old's bike has been stolen. Number 2. DFW, Season 1, Episode 19. Jake stands in the interrogation room with a lady who tells him she never saw who killed her brother, but she did hear him sing, "I Want It That Way." Jake then asks each of the suspects lined up in the opposite room with the one-way mirror in between them to sing the song. Confused as to why they start singing, he joins midway and finishes it off. Suddenly, the woman shouts that number 5 killed her brother, and Jake snaps out of the singing effect and says that he completely forgot about the case. Number 1. Safe House, Season 5, Episode 12. The coolest cold open would have to be from this episode, which begins with Kevin lecturing students in an art museum and meets Jake in disguise. Jake then walks off with Kevin and hands him a hat and sunglasses, instructing him to wear them, telling him that Captain Holt sent him. Suddenly, Charles walks up to them dressed up as Kevin and goes off with Jake. Meanwhile, Terry opens a door and pulls in Kevin. He then asks Kevin to hide in a trolley cart. He then pushes off the cart outside, where he meets Rosa and exchanges their carts. Terry goes into the museum while Rosa delivers the cart into a van pulled up by Amy. Kevin exits the cart and looks up to see Holt, telling him that his life is in danger and that he needs him to get to safety as soon as possible. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did making it for you. Was there a must show we missed? Please care to leave them as comments. Also, like and subscribe to our channel. Till we meet again, be nice.